Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, o see them yopo.
Welcome to PENDREAM TV, your number one source for the hottest political debates and breaking news in Ghana and beyond. Today we bring you another explosive live TV showdown. Suhuniye takes on Adom Otchere in a heated clash over the recent comments made by Bryan to Bawumia's campaign team. And what is it about? It's all about religious tag. And you won't believe the shocking revelation and fiery exchange that unfolded. Stay tuned because this is the only one debate you don't want to mix. Stay tuned and subscribe to PENDREAM TV as well. Thank you.
Whether or not the president should have spoken to this issue or not. And I think that you have make your case as to why you thought that the president should have remained silent, which is fine.
And you see why again?
I
think that he shouldn't have, because a new agenda has been set by Paul on this program,
which is
the NDC race.
Well, but you don't think
and how this statement has opened, you know,
because you see, because you see, even Alassane, even within the NDC,
yes.
And I'm sure perhaps you know better. At least if you're someone whose ears are on the ground, we know the people who have either privately or, quietly spoken to people about, what they're considering and so on. Now, some of them were actually not even sure whether or not this third-term agenda was real or was actually a myth. Some of them, I don't want to mention names. Don't you think that now that the president has said, forget about the rumors, I am not interested, it brings certainty in the minds of persons who want to succeed him? Okay? Question is that, doesn't this then sort of gives the green light for people to actually even now go all out and start basically campaigning, albeit quietly? Because you see, if you listen to Adom in some recent interviews, in fact, he's done 3 interviews. I don't want to mention the name of the media platform. 3 interviews on separate platforms. And the theme of that interview is about hold your horses, allow the man to finish. Because if the NDC government succeeds, whoever the party delegates elect to lead to lead NDC would then be able to win the 2028 elections. It tells you that there's something happening. So then I don't know whether you get where Paul is coming from.
I get it.
Yeah.
But you see, Moro, that is another reason why I think the president didn't.
And sorry, before you come in, there's another school of thought in the NDC. There are some people who feel that, look, in order to give the NDC a stronger footing in the party in the 2028 elections, they think that the president should seek a third term. And that they believe and they feel and think that all the other persons who have said they want to succeed him are not ready. And they'll be ready in 2032. Do you get the point I'm making? There are some people who have that opinion that, look, whatever John Mahama needs to do to seek a third term, he should. Now whether that call is a legitimate one, makes sense or not, I mean, that's another matter. But there are some people who think like that. So I just want that to sort of find expression or sort of to give some perspectives to what you
see, Moro, in politics, I've come to learn that the agenda of your opponents is an ending. They will always set one agenda. When you demolish the one before it, they will always set one agenda. So you are never going to please your opponents who are set on ensuring that you look bad. And if you engage in, responding to every agenda that they set, that is when you engage in what maybe the English will call a wild goose chase. Because you will never be able to stop them from talking. And like they say, in opposition, the only thing available to a political party in opposition is talk. Is to imagine things and just throw them out there to create conversation. But you have to be focused on your deliverables when you are in government. And so opinions are like noses. Even within the NDC, they don't change the law. You understand? If people held those views and held those opinions, there's no way those opinions and views were going to lead to the change of the law. And again, those views and opinions, I do not believe, had the power to change the character of the man we are talking about here. And that is President Mahama. Yeah. I mean, his character should be well known to anybody who has followed our politics all this while. And I was set in my mind that no amount of pressure was going to make the man, want to tamper with the Constitution, because that is the only way one can run for a third term, if you tamper with the Constitution. But as the Constitution is currently crafted, there's no way you can justify a third term in it unless you tamper with it. And knowing the character of President Mahama, no amount of pressure was going to sway him to attempt to tamper with the Constitution. Okay. And so for me, it was a non-starter. It was needless for anybody to entertain fears that President Mahama may want to run for a third term. Okay. But yes, I understand that some people, fantasize with that. Some people romanticize with that. They thought that perhaps because of maybe their own personal influence and control, they would have still loved President Mahama to be around. But those were just views and opinions that anyone within the NDC or outside the NDC could have held. Okay. As for ambition, Moro, it's the fuel for any political life. Ambition is the fuel for any political life. And so people in the political space are allowed to have ambitions. And even if this constitution has stated that a president can run for 5 terms, people would have still been ambitious to succeed him after the 5th term. It wouldn't have stopped people from having ambition. And so for me, it is neither here nor there. We have a 4-year mandate, and I agree with the chairman of our party that the only way that 4-year mandate can be renewed will be based on the performance of this current 4-year mandate that we have. And so anybody who wants to succeed President Mahama will have to first of all put his shoulders to the wheel and ensure that this government is a success. Otherwise, whatever fantasy you have of being a president will not materialize, at least not in the next election, if you do not help for this government to succeed. Okay. And that is a point that has to be, ingrained in the minds of everybody in this government, especially with any fantasy of becoming a president. Okay. Otherwise, they should all forget it and go to sleep. Okay. All right, Paul.
I think that I get Alasan Suhuniye's point, Honorable, about President Mahama and tinkering the Constitution to run a 3rd term, but that's not really where the danger is. The danger is not in the conclusion. The danger is in a process that begins that can really waste everybody's time. And the process can begin legitimately with a president who has a Constitution Review Committee that is looking at the Constitution, who is very popular and who thinks that let us at least test this with the Ghanaian public. If President Mahama were to say so, he hasn't done anything wrong, at least not yet. He has not said, I want a 3rd term. He's invited the Ghanaian public. Let's go to a referendum. Let's test this provision. When a referendum is set out, you're going to have arguments for and against, like we saw in the potential referendum for the district assembly thing that Akufo-Addo brought, that we should vote them, we should elect them on partisan lines. That was, as soon as he said, let us test it, there was arguments for, arguments against. Many people who were making these arguments were aware of where the president's view of the matter was. Except that with Akufo-Addo is very direct, so he has told the Ghanaians that this is what I want. But often, presidents doesn't need to say this is what I want. He only needs to kickstart the process and allow lectures to happen, debates going on, MPs will be divided, something that is a 3rd term, something that there shouldn't be a 3rd term. Everybody will be talking about it, and then you have a process starts in parliament through constitutional amendment. Let's go to a referendum. Not just that that may not be the only article in there to be amended in the referendum. Referendum goes, you have 5 articles, and it's one of them. And then you are going to have all of these debates. Now, what President Mahama has done for us, which is good, is that I am not interested in even beginning the conversation. That's where I think Honorable must see that. It's not so much that he being thought of as an autocratic leader who wants to change the constitution, but he doing good for Ghana by telling not just Ghana, but the international community that I'm not going to begin a process of any conversation about any third term. I'm not interested in starting that. If you are starting that, you are not with me. And he has a Constitutional Review Committee sitting, and the Constitutional Review Committee is going to make proposals to him. So what he's telling us, in fact, is that any such proposals that even come from the review committee is going to reject it. That's really what President Mahama is saying, because the proposals will come to him. He would have to determine how the process goes forward. So that is the part that is good. And that's the part that the MPP were thinking, some of them were thinking will be an own goal. That if he starts that process, then because this is a process that is going nowhere. Many Ghanaian youth and voters today may not have been born in the late 1970s. But Achampon's, union government process created such a major problem and took the country back a few steps. So the older generation have reminded us of that. So there was going to be some level of resistance to any president who wants to do that. And that's why, even with Akufo-Addo, who has served 2 consecutive terms, he still found occasion, and I think he also spoke abroad, to allay the fears of everyone that I'm not running for any third term. So it is important that President Mahama says there will be political fallouts because it is politics. So once the president speaks, there will be pros and cons. So yes, it is true that there's a de facto whistle blown, and we hope that people can control themselves, but we don't know whether they will. Often politicians don't. And I like the statements he makes, which is very true, but it never really lives his truth in politics, which is that let us all focus and deliver a winning government, and that way everybody can come. Because running for president is a full-time job. And President Kufuor, who is a seasoned politician, even came to terms with it, such that he introduced a policy regulation that if you want to run, leave the ministry. Yeah. Because if you're a minister and you go to the office in the morning, you're a minister for agric, and you have to meet some people who are looking for irrigation in Tamale, for instance, because of him, let me use Tamale. They're looking for irrigation in Tamale. They want to come and do irrigation in Tamale. And then you are told that all the Western region constituency chairmen are waiting for you. You are very likely, as part of your ambition to lead the party, you are very likely to abandon the meeting for irrigation and dash to Western region to go and see the people and talk to them, because self-preservation is first. You want to lead the party. So we hear this all the time, but it never lives as truth until you say that, please, because of your ambition, leave the ministry. And President Kufuor's timeline was 1 year to the election. It's beginning to look like the campaign starts long before that 1 year to the election. In 2006, Victor Newman, may he rest in peace, one of Akufo-Addo's key allies, was so frustrated, it was about February of 2006, was so frustrated with Akufo-Addo's foreign ministry work that he wrote a public letter to him and said, Chief, you have been at this thing since 98 challenging Kufuor. You are losing the battle. You are sitting down, traveling, going foreign minister. He wrote an open public letter to him that this thing that you are doing, you are going to lose. Alan Chemati is going to beat you, because he was ambassador to America. Because of his ambition, they brought him to Ghana to be minister for trade. Every day you are traveling. Go and see that he's meeting people. He's meeting constituency executives. Akufo-Addo responded and said that it doesn't matter. If we succeed in President Kufuor's government, we will win. But soon after that, a group was formed called FONA. Yeah. To which I associated, especially in our student days in London, myself, Musa Superior, Abe Fakabu, who were the kingpins of FONA back in the day. Friends of Nana Akufo-Addo. It was immediately formed, because you need to start putting platforms together that will start coalescing people. I can imagine that by the time we have this conversation 2-3 months down the line, you will be able to point the camp that Honorable Hassan Suhuniye has found himself in. He's either in Julius Debrez's camp. Well, his boss, Kwame Abuja, his immediate boss, is not running. So if his Kwame Abuja was running, that's the only place he has to go, because you are deputy minister to the roast minister. No. He's running for president, and he hears that you are with Julius Debrez or this. If Haruna Idrisu is running, he would demand of Al-Hassan Suhuniye that you can't have Haruna Idrisu, your senior brother, running. And then he hears that the Suhuniye was at the Asidin meeting last night. I said, Al-Hassan, call him for me. He said, hey, I hear that you were in the MPP politics. Then he will just say that, oh, I went to visit the party chairman. I said, no, Al-Hassan. They say you were in the meeting. Oh, no, I wasn't in any meeting. He said, are you sure? Then you tell Charlie, Haruna called me. Haruna
called
me, so I can't go again. Then you pick
another
another minister like
Samuel Jinapo and Anta.
You pick another minister like he mentioned Jinapo, energy minister.
Yes.
He is a John Mahama person thoroughly. John Mahama is not running. There would even be pressure in the Jubilee House that all of us journalists are going to try and gauge. So the president is not running. Who is he backing? If you have a president like Akufo-Addo, he's going to say, I'm backing this, A straight, go, we go. Not everybody is like that. Not every politician has that disposition. It took a long time for President Kufuor even to accept that he was backing Alan. If you look at the make of John Mahama, I'm guessing that he's cast in the Kufuor type of mold. He's not going to come out and say, I am supporting this, I'm supporting that. That will leave the media room to begin to gauge. He makes any statement, we are going to pick it up. He has visitors in the Jubilee House and says that, oh, I was in Japan the other day, I heard you came here, and my chief of staff was very good to you. My indefatigable chief of staff. Hey, Charlie, he's supporting Julius. Then he goes to a rally in Tamale and he's talking and says that this election was won by many people, but I cannot discount the role of our party chairman, Johnson. I said, hey, John Mahama is supporting. I said, okay. So that's going to happen. All I'm hoping for is that we can count on the magnanimity of the leadership of the NDC.
Okay.
If they can hold their horses for the sake of Ghana until 2027 sometime. That's what we're praying for.
You know, Moro,
Alasan.
You know, I have worked with Paul for a very long time. And I mean, one thing stands out, and I admire him for it.
Right.
His ability to set agenda.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's unmatched in this country. And you know, so sometimes when on social media, people troll him for some of the things he does on Good Evening Ghana, I sit back and I laugh and I say, you don't know what the man is doing. He exactly knows what he's doing. He wants the country to talk about something. He has a way of getting, you know, the story implanted in such a way that you can't afford but to respond.
Right.
And that is what Paul is good at. And you remember I said that President Mahama's response was just fodder for the setting of another agenda. And clearly, anyone who has followed has seen that agenda. And that agenda, if we are not careful and read in between the lines, is going to succeed in swaying the entire NDC, you know, from the focus that we currently have. And that is to support President Mahama to succeed.
Right.
Paul is, you know, doing what he does best. You know, because I can imagine that the focus on the MPP race is not that pleasant as things stand now. So why not shift the focus and set an agenda and maybe create a similar scenario in the government that would be more juicier because you are in government. So if you have the kind of things that are happening in MPP happening, you know, the focus will shift there. Okay. And that's what my senior brother Paul is classically doing as usual. But I am confident that our party will not fall for that bait. What we know is that currently in the NPP, I mean, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who I'm sure Paul supports because of his affiliation with Samira and Co., you know, is battling for breath. Okay. I mean, I'm sure he and his supporters are amazed at the level of competition that is currently being presented him. I'm sure they are shocked. I'm sure they are seeing people associate with Kennedy Ajapong, and they are seeing people with Kennedy Kobna Ajapong, and they are seeing people with Bryan, and they are like, this one too. I'm very certain that they are completely dazed by the level of competition that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is getting. But you see, some of us are not surprised. I mean, some of us predicted it long ago that the trump card of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia over the years that he has served in politics has been his ability to run down his senior brother, President Mahama. That has been his biggest trump card in the MPP. And unfortunately for him, in the next election, President Mahama won't be there. Okay. So the MPP has begun to see that, Charlie, your usefulness is diminished. Because your trump card has always been how you taunt President Mahama. He won't be in the next election. And so really, what is your trump card? Because for 8 years, in power, you helped Nana Akufo-Addo to run down this country. That's why the people of Ghana voted the way they voted in the last election.
Right.
And so clearly, he's struggling. In fact, when he began the thank you tour, he tried to be direct, like Paul was saying, like Akufo-Addo, by categorizing the things that made them lose power. Oh, arrogance of power. Do reshuffle, you wouldn't do reshuffle. That's how he went out. And I'm sure Paul and Co called him into the room and said, hey, you can't antagonize the president like that. So change strategy. I'm sure that happened. You get it? I'm sure that happened. And so he had to quickly change strategy. Because it was, it was like digging his own grave. Because you couldn't be part of that 8 years, and all of a sudden, you are beginning to sound like you were not given a privilege by President Nana Akufo-Addo to serve in his government. Because remember, you didn't even have a party card. President Akufo-Addo had to, take all the criticism and the attacks from his party to shield you and make you vice president for 8 years. And at the least defeat, you turn around and say he was the reason why you lost? My goodness. But you see, Moro, if you followed our political conversations, especially on this set, even before 2024 elections, I said that one character trait of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that I found appalling was his inability to show gratitude to Nana Akufo-Addo. Because it was already beginning to show that he did not appreciate the opportunity that President Akufo-Addo gave him. And that, for me, is what Paul and Co are dealing with today. And so it will be very relieving if they set fire, in the NDC with this new agenda of, okay, President Mahama is not running, so who is succeeding him and who is he supporting, who is he throwing his weight behind? That hasn't come up in the NDC so far. Ambitions are, like I said, like fuel for any political life. And anybody in the NDC is permitted to have that ambition. But that ambition to succeed President Mahama can only succeed, and I'm sure we are all aware of it, if we help him to deliver to the admiration of the people of Ghana. And I believe because we are all aware of it, we are committed to that cause.
Paul, I think we should,
Let me just I don't think Dr. Bawumia has indicated that he lost elections because of Akufo-Addo.
He didn't have to mention his name, but the scenario was clear.
Dr. Bawumia indicated that the government of which he was a part of had major challenges and difficulties. Dr. Bawumia has always acknowledged that he was a part of the government. And I hear this a bit of rumor about bad blood between Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia. I don't see it. I don't think there's any bad blood between Dr. Bawumia and Nana Akufo-Addo today. I don't see it. I hear opponents of the MPP talk about it, that Akufo-Addo is not supporting Bawumia anymore. And all
it was actually Dr. Kennedy who broke the news.
Otchere Kennedy lives abroad. Otchere Kennedy is the one who
I've heard that also from Bryan supporters. I've heard
yes,
that from...
fair enough. You may have heard. I'm saying that I have not seen it. I have not seen it. And I've spoken to Akufo-Addo recently. I've spoken to Dr. Bawumia recently. I've not seen any bad blood between them. The relationship between Dr. Bawumia's wife and Nana Akufo-Addo is excellent. I mean, I've not seen any bad blood between them. Okay. We have seen people who used to support Dr. Bawumia who have come out publicly and say that they are changing candidates. But that's very typical and classic with the NPP. You have seen Mr. Opombio, a famous businessman, who had been the backbone of Canada Japan, as was thought. Today, he sits with Dr. Otchere. That's always classic NPP. As we have said before, this will be the first time the NDC is going into a real electoral contest for presidential candidate. The NPP has had it once or twice. They had it in 2007, they had it in 98, and they are going into another one again. I don't think Dr. Bawumia has underestimated the challenge that confronts him in this election. Any candidate who comes out as a government candidate, as he was in 2023, the president's favorite candidate, and goes to the election and does not win the election, is going to have a more difficult time when the president is not there. That's why Dr. Bawumia has had to hit the grassroots campaign quite early. He knows that he's going to be confronted with a major challenge because some of the things that may have supported his candidature in 2023 may not be there. But the circumstances are different. And people are going to elect a candidate that they believe can deliver victory and success for the MPP. So first of all, I don't think Dr. Bawumia is saying that I lost the election because of Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay. No, Dr. Bawumia has outlisted the reasons why he lost the election. Some of them including the difficulties of the government he was part of, the economic situation at the time. Yes, Dr. Bawumia mentioned the arrogance of power on behalf of government appointees. Government appointees are almost 1,000, and yes, there was many reports that even DCs were bullying people in their communities, and that always happens with politics. Right. As for the agenda setting that the Honorable Suhuniye refers to, relating to what we may be doing to get the NDC in the agenda, it's always inevitable that there's always going to be a conversation about an exiting president. The point we are worried about is that this has happened to Ghana back to back, and it might not be very good. But you cannot stop that conversation. It's always going to be there. It's always going to come. It's going to come in America. It's going to come in France, and it's going to come in Ghana. As soon as Nana Akufo-Addo took the oath, NDC people started, is Nana Akufo-Addo going to respect the timetable so that he hands over to Alan Martin because it was Kufuor, then him, then Alan? Or is Nana Akufo-Addo going to upset the timetable and support Bawumia? Rumors started very early. Nana Akufo-Addo is supporting Bawumia, this and that and that. So yes, once there is that kind of situation, there's always going to be media conversation. If you call it an agenda, fair enough, but well, it's inevitable.
All right. So
big positives and smaller positives from the whole process.
Okay.
The big positive is that without this contest in January, the MPP could not have been able to marshal itself together with such significant enthusiasm of delegates and supporters of the party boldly pouring out into the streets in the middle of Accra and chanting MPP slogans in the manner that they are doing so confidently. Because the defeat of 2024 was heavy and is still, pushing down the neck of many MPP people who are still recovering. So it is kudos to the National Council and the National Executive that made the decision that to sort of revive the MPP's excitement at the base, it is important to run a National Delegates Congress to choose a presidential candidate so early, unprecedented in the history of the party since 1992. So that's a big positive. You saw what happened since Tuesday, and today the MPP is leading the news all over. I'm worried that the Ghanaian Times is not leading the same story on its front page. Perhaps they have another story, but really, this looks like the story the MPP is taking center stage this way. If the MPP uses this platform to market itself properly,
to be fair to the Ghanaian Times, I'm the most prepared candidate for MPP flag bearer.
You read something and said they didn't use it.
I skipped it.
You skipped it. Okay. I would have been surprised.
Yes, I'm the most prepared candidate.
Okay, so the Ghanaian Times has it as well. That means all the newspapers have it.
Yes.
Now, the MPP has the platform, and it might be useful. It behooves them to use this platform to market and re-energize the Ghanaian public about the excitement of the MPP. Because what the MPP needs, as we've always said, to be able to put themselves together and look formidable for the 2028 election is one essential commodity, which is unity. And you may have heard most of the candidates preach unity. And unity is important because if you are going for a Congress like this, which is not a Congress that has one person who is going to win 80%, then what you need more than anything else is unity. Okay. And it's a very difficult contest. The MPP may be fortunate that they may have a bit of time because this is earlier. That's part of the reason. That's one of those arguments that underpin the reason that let's do an early Congress, because you're going to have problems with a Congress like this. The government has lost election. There's blame game. There's a lot going on. You're in opposition. You need to spend more time raising money and all of that. So have the Congress early so we have time to negotiate out all of these things, cut deals, make political alliances, and be ready for the opponent. The advantage the NPP is also going to have is that they're going to have a presidential candidate by February. NPP have a presidential candidate already on the ballot in 2028, all things being equal. The NDC doesn't have somebody on the ballot. The NPP has somebody on the ballot. So if you are an interest group, you're a market woman, you are a trader, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, and you have certain policy objectives that you do not find being expressed in this government, you have somebody to go to and go and talk to him and say that, Chief, do you think that you can do this when you become president? If that conversation holds, you are going to form an alliance with that person before the NDC have their candidate. And that is what part of the things that hurts the NDC coming into the 2024 election. Because by 2022, in fact, even immediately the 2020 election ended, every interest group holder knew that John Mahama would be the candidate for the next election, given the performance of 2020. So the NDC could really not have even gone to any Congress. Now, such people who were now saying that John Mahama is definitely on the ballot in 2024, who is going to be on the ballot for the MPP? Is it going to be Otchere Martin? Is it going to be Muhammadu Bawumia? There are heard rumors that Kennedy Japan was also going to run. So for the interest group holder, that is an uncertain situation. The variables are too many. Here is the opposition leader. He's settled. He's going to be on the ballot. So if I have a problem, I'm a policeman, I'm a teacher, I'm a this, I'm a that, and I can see difficulty, I go to him and I say, Mr. President, if you become president again, are you willing to do this and that and that and that? That is why we heard in corridors of power in many circles in 2023-24, people saying that John Mahama has changed. John Mahama has changed. The guy is a new guy. John Mahama has changed. Now, they were saying that because they had engaged with him because he's on the ballot and he has a lot of time to engage people. So that's an advantage that accrues to the NPP, that whoever wins the election has that time to engage with people and for people to have trust and confidence in him whilst they wait for the NDC to elect. If the NDC were to go to Congress in December 2027 and elect a candidate, they have 1 year before the election. By that time, if the NPP candidate has been working hard, he would have secured all of these alliances with all of these different interest groups. So that's another positive. Then, if you come to the contest itself, as you heard most of them speak, and I am happy about something that happened yesterday. As soon as Dr. Bawumia's presentation began, there was a lot of disquiet in the Kennedy Japan camp. So people were asking, what is happening? They were very angry, the communication group. And they said the party is using the official Facebook page to stream Dr. Bawumia's processes on social media. They were very upset. And then I saw on a platform, Nana B, the NPP national organizer, Nana Boache, apologized to them and said that it is not with them and they are taking it off immediately. I noticed that and I said, oh, this looks very interesting. So it gives me the sense that everyone important in the NPP wants this contest to go, as Kennedy Japan said, fairly. And it has to be very fair. And nobody should be seen to be playing any role to give an advantage to anyone. And I noticed that yesterday about this social media issue. So yes, it's going to be tight. There's going to be a lot of issues, but they would have to manage it in a way that helps because the advantages after far outweigh any real disadvantages that come with competition. I don't know whether the election is going to be a landslide for any candidate. It doesn't really look like that. People even are predicting that the election may go into a runoff, and so alliances are beginning to form. But I like one thing that also shows up at the close of the nomination, that the NPP had gone to Congress to remove an article which said that there has to be only 5 presidential candidates, and anytime there are more than 5 presidential candidates, there will be a superdelegates that will sit and reduce the candidates just to 5. This article was put in as a result of the 2007 contest that had 17 people, and Honorable Suhuniye and his friends went to many meals on the 17 and trumpeted it and bashed it, and was part of the reason why the NPP lost the 2008 election, the propaganda from the 17. Well, I didn't agree, but well, there were 17 candidates. So the NPP noticed that and said, let's change it. The NPP went to Congress recently and said, let's go back to status quo. Let's remove the super delegates and deal with it. What this contest has showed, that the NPP has really grown in maturity and that they did not need a regulation to leave the candidature at the best 5. That excites me very much. That's when everyone thought that removing this article will now bring 100 people into the contest. And we heard at the beginning, Boache Jacko is running, Joe Garte, I spoke to him, he told me he's running, all of that. Conversations have gone on, alliances have been struck. And so at the close of poll, you still have the 5 that the NPP historically needed to negotiate for and make rules and regulations to achieve. Now, maturity has come in, and they do not need rules and regulations to legislate a certain 5. All right. I am hoping that the same maturity will carry on through the process in September, in October, in November, and then finally in December to elect a presidential candidate. Whoever is elected will be able to achieve the unity the NPP needs to be formidable. The unity doesn't even mean NPP is going to win 2028. They have to be formidable, and to be right now the NPP is not formidable against the NDC because you are coming from a 41%. But for the NPP to be formidable and pick up its 49, 48%, they need to keep that maturity through the process, have fairness, which is very, very important. The fairness must come. Everyone must see the process is fair. And then thereafter, they can achieve unity and be formidable for the election.
And also, can you please look at the messaging bit for me? I mean, I already have 41% in my bag. I only need 9%, you know. the accusations, counter accusations about, you know, where one comes from and which religious faith he ascribes to and so on. I mean, can you look at the messaging bit of the campaign for me, even as you're making a general comment about how things are panning out so far?
Yeah, I will come there, but
Okay.
I was just intrigued by how Paul was checking on the headlines, and I was wondering if he's, as Kojo Chumbuafo asks, in charge of some...
No, I'm not in charge of it. No, I'm not. I'm not in
the
charge
cleanup of...
I'm in charge of Good Evening Ghana. That's what I do.
Because you didn't answer Kojo, and so when you were particular about which paper carried the advert stories...
No, the Times, when you read the text, the Times didn't carry it. And I was worried that this is a major story. The graphic carries on its front page. Why is the Times omitting it?
Okay.
Because a state-owned newspaper.
I just wanted you
and it has an obligation to be fair.
You are not playing any role
Oh,
for
no,
any
if
of
I
the
were
candidates.
playing, it would have been announced. I'm not playing it.
But not all roles are announced. You and I.
Oh, no, I don't have a role
Especially
to play,
in
but
this,
yes,
in
they are-
this
the candidates are all my
campaigns, when you
friends.
offer media advice. I mean, you are not really announced.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not offering media advice.
You
I'm
are not
I was
working
just
with the
concerned
Baumia,
that. I was just concerned that a
yes.
state-owned newspaper.
Yeah, but your relationship with Samira, I mean, if you do that, and Baumia, I mean, if you do that, who is going to? I mean, if you offer media support, and then Akufo-Addo is one of your mentors, and he's a direct person.
Offering
So
media support,
I expect
I
that
can
you will
offer
be
to
that.
Kwabena Japan. I can offer to anyone.
And I think I saw somebody like you at Kwabena Japan.
Well, Kwabena Japan is my good friend. Everyone knows that. So
Yes,
I'm very happy about the ambition that he takes upon himself.
Yes, but you are not offering any support.
Kindly,
Unless you mean informal.
It's part of it. I mean, you see,
Unless you
I want
mean
to.
informal.
You see, I admire you, and I have admired Paul for a very long time.
Unless you mean informal.
In our journalistic career, I mean, he was one of the people that we admired working with and looked up to. So I want to sometimes understand, for example, when you are on Good Evening Ghana, how to interpret what happens, based on the answers that I get from here. I want to know. That's what I'm asking.
No.
Because I know that a lot of things will happen on Good Evening Ghana. So I want to be able to
Will
interpret.
happen or has happened?
Will happen.
Relating to the MPP contest.
To the MPP contest, of course.
Oh, okay. If you look at yesterday's Good Evening Ghana, for instance, we showed the video of all the candidates who attended.
When you started with Corinthians and all that.
That's an earlier one.
Yeah, you were playing
I played it back.
Yes.
So we did we gave platform to all the candidates. My concern about the Times, I think I have to ground this for the purpose of the record. The Supreme Court in MPP and GBC gave a ruling that state-owned newspaper have an obligation to give equal and fair treatment to all political parties.
Right.
The MPP had done this event yesterday, and it required publication.
Right.
The graphic, which the state-owned newspaper is leading on it, all private newspapers are leading on it. If it turns out that the Times didn't publish it at all, I think there's a legitimate question.
I'm genuinely concerned. I'm genuinely concerned.
Yes,
I'm not
please.
being mischievous.
Yes.
I mean, given your relationships with all these people, I mean, if they don't know where you stand with them, don't you think that it's
this is an extraneous
disconcerting?
But it's not every MPP person. It's not every MPP person. Everyone who wishes the
No,
MPP
this is
well.
MPP politics.
Yes,
and Paul is part of it. You understand? He's part of the whole conversation. So it is.
You're asking me whether I'm for one candidate and against another?
Not against, but you can be for and not necessarily be against.
But once you are for one candidate in a contest, you're against another.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, if you are for one candidate, it does not necessarily mean you are against the other. I mean, if that person wins, you are not going to split heads over it. But maybe given the circumstances, you just think that associating with this particular candidate at this point in time is better.
But
it doesn't mean that you are against.
There are also MPP people
Yes.
who are just interested in the contest being fair and a leader elected.
So you are part of that.
I'm more inclined towards that.
Okay. So you will support the process of fairness and
I will support the process of the MPP winning from this process. MPP must win from this election and become a formidable alternative before the 2028 election.
And then after that, you can. Anyway,
get on with the more substantive issue with messaging and the candidates. Yes.
Muru, I have been following the contest, and I have 3 people in the contest that I have worked with in Parliament.
Sorry,
not worked with.
We've been graciously granted 30 more minutes.
Okay. I won't say work with. I've lived with in Parliament. Bryan Achampong, Kennedy Ajapong, and then Edichum. I'll say I have a very good relationship with Bryan Achampong, a fairly good one with Kennedy Ajapong. Edichum, I won't say we have any relationship whatsoever. But I have been watching, their campaigns, and I'm amazed at how they are all doing. Bryan seems to be more frontal and more purposeful. It looks like that to me. Kennedy Ajapong is doing very well, but still too basic and grassroots, and I don't see Edichum at all in that race. But I think the candidate to beat, obviously, is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because of the fact that he was the flag bearer in the last election and he is still interested. So obviously, he's the candidate to beat. But it can still be anybody's, game to win. That's how I see it. Especially if you look at the constitution of the NPP, that requires a 50+1, I think, to be declared winner and flag bearer of the party. It gives me the indication that it can still be anybody's game. Yes, it may look like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading, given the history of his control and association, obviously, with Nana Akufo-Addo in the past. It looks like he's leading. But that lead is not so convincing. And so it doesn't give me the impression that he can cross the 50+1. And that is where the danger may be for him. Because if he fails to cross the 50+1 and he's not able to play his cards well to get support from the other candidates, it is likely that he will face competition from the other 4 in a runoff situation. Because you have to understand that all these 4 candidates are out because they don't think it should be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Otherwise, they wouldn't have filed. But they think it shouldn't be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And so, if we are faced with a runoff situation, I'll be surprised if any of them will support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it is the reason why I think that these 4 should begin to talk to themselves and talk to each other. But again, don't be surprised that either Kennedy Ajapong or Bryan Achampong can even pull a surprise and take, a lead. Because the biggest constituencies of the NPP in this whole election come from areas that Bryan Achampong and Kennedy Ajapong seem to have some amount of control over. If you look at the central region, that is where Kennedy Ajapong comes from. It is one of the biggest constituencies of the electoral college. And Kennedy Ajapong is doing very well there. If you look at Eastern region, it's one of the biggest constituencies of the college. And Bryan Achampong is doing very well there. Are you getting it? Right. And if you look at the Ashanti region, it is split between Bryan Achampong, Kennedy Ajapong. I don't really see Edichum much there, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doesn't have absolute control over Ashanti. And where you expect Dr. Mahmoud...
Let me get this. Are you sourcing this information from the Info Analytics data?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also based on just observation. And we travel. We are all somehow politically connected, not only to our party people. So you speak to people. And when you visit these regions or you make calls to people, you gauge the atmosphere. And I'm saying that, if you look at Central, Eastern, and Ashanti, they are battle grounds. No one can boast that, he controls it. I won't say no one, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is the candidate to beat, cannot boast that he has control over Central, Eastern, and Ashanti. He can't. And that, for me, should be worrying to him and his team. Because these are, big constituencies, influential constituencies, I must say. And yet, the one who should have been the natural, winner of the election, cannot boast of having control. In the eastern region, like I've indicated, Bryan seems to be in control. In the central region, it is tilting towards Kennedy Ajapong a bit. And then in the Ashanti region, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doesn't have control. Where you expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to have control to, he doesn't. And that is enough. And that should be worrying to his team and his strategies. He doesn't have control in the Upper East. He doesn't have control in the Upper West. In fact, especially the Upper East and the Upper West. He doesn't have control. The only place that he seems to have control over is the Northeast. And Northeast is so minute. I mean, the delegates that are coming from Northeast, I'm sure can be swallowed 4 or 5 times by delegates that will come from Ashanti and Central. And that's the only place he has control over. In fact, in the northern region, the constituencies with higher numbers of delegates, the Tamale Centrals, the South, the North, the Sanargus, he doesn't have control. And so you should be worried. But like I said, from all indications, it looks like he's leading. But that lead doesn't seem like it can cross the 50+1. And, with the performance of Bryan and Kennedy Ajapong, I think that he will have a tough, contest. That's what makes it interesting. I'm also excited about one thing, Molu. I like posterity and what it does to all of us. I like it. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, over the years, has engaged in one of the dangerous ways of politicking. But attempts in the past to call him out in the past were resisted by the very strong shield that the NPP provided, perhaps because he was in government, and perhaps because at the time it served the interest of the NPP. I mean, he is the candidate who went on platforms, first of all, to say that there was a need for the Bible and the Quran to be acknowledged as swearing in. He said that. And people glossed over it. But that for me was dangerous for our politicking. We tried to call him out, and then we're told that, look, you are just being envious, you are just being disrespectful, you are just being insulting of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But that was dangerous, still dangerous, that he did that. He is the candidate who has gone out and in campaigns have publicly said that vote for me and I'll bring a block of voters because of my affiliation as a Muslim or as a Zongo person or as a Northern person. And then people hailed it. Some of us thought, was dangerous politicking.
But identity politics has always been with us.
It's always been there, but you see, it has to be carefully exploited.
Okay.
And politicians over the years have done that without stoking any, dangers. But he's been frontal, that's what I'm saying with it. As for identity politics, you can't, even in the United States of America, I mean, people campaign based on the states that they were born in, where they come from. It's whether they are Christians, it happens. What's the term? Libertarian. Whether they are, it's all part of identity politics. Right. Whether they support gayism or not, it's all part of identity politics. But I'm saying that it is how you go about it that exposes the danger.
But Hassan,
and I'm saying that over the years, and the point I'm trying to make when I said I like what posterity does to us, is how all of this dangerous politicking he has done over the years is coming back to bite him.
But Alassane, what do you expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to do when one of the reasons why we're told he's been given the chance, or he should be given a chance to lead the NPP, is that the NPP intends to break a certain, what you call an Akanization perception, which they've always had. With Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, put all the other things he has going for him in terms of his qualities. He's also a Muslim, and he comes from the northern region. You don't expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to go around and not talk about the fact that, look, when you vote for me, I'm one of you, and I'll bring... Do you understand what I'm saying?
There's a reason why our constitution acknowledges, and I use the word acknowledges religion, but concludes that we are a unitary state. And that, sorry, we are a secular state. There's a reason. That's the constitution. It acknowledges religion about, you know, freedom of worship, freedom of thought, and the fact that the constitution's preamble even starts in the name of God, and the presidents and other officers are sworn in with the Bible and Quran. It acknowledges religion. But in the end, it says that we are a secular state.
Right.
There's a reason. And so when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has, like you said, all other things going for him, his religion can be acknowledged, but not be used as a trump card. That should be a consideration.
Right.
It can be acknowledged. There's a difference acknowledging one's association and one's identity, and then using it as a political capital. And that is what I say has been wrong with the way he has been packaged over the years.
Right.
If the NPP wanted to break the Arcanization tag, they could have still done that with the qualities, or so-called qualities, that they say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has that can transform this country. It is really a matter of course that when he emerges, then it breaks that kind of thinking and it becomes a reference point to combat any allegation of such, you know, theory within the NPP. But he played that rough card. And so I was enjoying it last weekend when that rough card was played back to him by Bryan especially. I was enjoying the back and forth. Because look, you went on the campaign trail in the last NPP primaries and promised the NPP delegates, like Bryan aptly put it, that if he was elected, that he was going to bring the Zongo votes and the Muslim votes. He said that. He said the only person who could beat John Mahama in the north was he, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because apart from being a northerner, he's also a Muslim. And the majority of Muslims majority of people in the north were Muslims. And so he was the candidate to beat Mahama. And so they should elect him. He went on that campaign. So apart from breaking the Arcanization tag, that was to say that, oh, we have given a northern and a Muslim the opportunity to lead. He further went ahead to say he was going to bring on board votes. Bryan and Co are simply saying, Alhaji, you failed to bring the votes. Where are the votes? They are simply saying, Alhaji, where are the votes? And so if that was your trump card then, and it has failed, what is your message now? That's a simple question that you should be answering instead of, you know, showing emotional tantrums. That should be the simple. I mean, if that failed, you can tell us why it failed. But now tell us a better trump card that you have, because now we won't believe that voting for you will bring the Zongo and Northern votes. So instead of throwing tantrums, you should be intellectually engaging and giving reasons why your promise failed. Otherwise, you may be categorized again as being dishonest. You may be categorized again as having lied to the people. You already have that tag, remember? So you may be categorized again that you knew that you were not going to be able to bring the vote, but you lied just so that the party could give you that opportunity. And if anyone does that kind of analysis, the person will be forgiven. Because it is intellectual, it is fair to say that if you are unable to give us a reason why you didn't bring the votes, then you deliberately lied to us so that you could lead. Anybody doing that kind of conclusion will be forgiven to so do. And another message that I've heard, which does not help the Bawumia, you know, image, is 9 pe. 9 pe. I mean,
what is 9 pe?
I hear them say, oh, 9%.
He has almost 42%.
He has almost 42%. He had almost 42% in the last election. So they only have 9%. 9% to
Dr.
crossover.
Bawumia hasn't said that. Did he say that?
But I've heard his campaign. I've even seen T-shirts printed 9%. I mean, it doesn't help his image. That looks like another lie. That looks like another lie because
isn't it a fact that he has 41 point something percent in his bag?
But it's a different election.
Exactly. Thank you.
Everything is different.
Every election, every candidate starts from zero. Every candidate in every election does not start from the last percentage that you had.
So you're saying the 41% is not given?
It's not given. So if you start on that note as a campaign slogan, you are again seeming dishonest. You are looking dishonest. Are you getting it? So I don't know how his campaign is being managed, and perhaps it's done poorly because over the years they have not allowed and tolerated critical examination of his politicking.
Okay.
And so it's allowed him to get away with a lot of things that are beginning to work against him now.
Okay. Let me bring in Paul now. Paul.
I'm very excited by the Honorable Alassan's assessment of the MPP contest, because you will realize that all the paragraphs that he has intelligently churned out represents a gruesome attack on Dr. Bawumia's politics, a very brutal attack on Dr. Bawumia's politics. Nothing to do with Aka 9
to take this
party to power. Okay, I've seen it. Yeah. So this gruesome attack on Dr. Bawumia is understandable. Since the year 2013, Dr. Bawumia has been a major thorn in the flesh of the NDC from the election petition period throughout the campaigns that he waged with those his lectures and Midonyami economy and all of that. Dr. Bawumia has been a very brutal thorn in the flesh of the NDC.
I said that his trump card has been the way he used to taunt President Mahama. That has been his trump card in the NPP.
But when the NDC was in government,
that's been his trump card.
So it's kind of understandable when you have this very gruesome attack launched brutally against an NPP candidate who is competing within the NPP and who is not competing on a national level. Honorable Alassan has called him so many names.
Oh, how?
But I think that the Bawumia people,
called him names?
And he's a liar. He will be looked up. You said if he does that again, then they will say he's a liar.
Absolutely, I'm not calling him names. I'm saying that he has that tag already. So if he is not careful,
but it will be NDC put on him.
I didn't call him names.
No, but
you see, when you say that I called him names on this set, I haven't called him names.
Fair enough, you are predicting. But the tag of a liar is NDC that put on Bawumia.
No, based on what?
Based on Dr. Bawumia saying that if I will lock the economy and give the keys to the IGP and the dollar will be stable. And then he said,
thanks for watching PENDREAM TV, where we bring you the truth behind Ghana's hottest political stories. What's your take on this heated exchange between Hassan Suhuniye and Paul Adom Otchere? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out on the latest updates. Until next time, keep watching PENDREAM TV, where politics comes live.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.